What's up, everyone? Welcome to the June 20th edition of FanDuel Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, use the code AWESEMO when you sign up, make a deposit at PrizePicks. You'll receive one free month of Stokastic plus Platinum. You'll also receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on that first deposit. We have a really interesting MLB slate tonight. A lot of good pitching, a lot of good offenses facing each other. It's one of these slates where you're probably not going to be super comfortable with most of the lineups that you make because you're either going to be taking a bad offense against a bad pitcher or a good offense against a good pitcher, good pitchers against good offenses, bad pitchers against bad offenses. Slates like that are pretty fun, in my opinion. Ownership ends up playing an even bigger role because a lot of times you're going to get situations where the field is sort of shying away from an offense, but also shying away from the opposing pitcher. And even though from a median standpoint, maybe neither side projects very well, the ceiling on either side can still be really high. So it makes for a fun tournament slate. And we're going to take a look, as usual, at the top three tournament stacks and the top three tournament pitchers using the top stacks and top pitchers tools on the Stokastic.com website. Starting with the top three tournament stacks, number three, the Milwaukee Brewers are taking on Miles Mikolas. Mikolas is coming off of a very good start where he also threw 129 pitches. That doesn't make him, any more likely to be bad today. It is, I guess, a slight negative, just that he is coming off of so many pitches. But he is also a pitcher that just doesn't miss a lot of bats. He's typically good at limiting power. But Milwaukee's active roster has a lot of strikeouts, also has a lot of power with a 179 ISO, 102 WRC plus. They're projected for 7% ownership with a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 6% chance of being the top value stack. Number two, the Atlanta Braves have a difficult matchup against Logan Webb, but they lead the league in ISO at 209. They also have a 117 WRC plus on their active roster. Webb is better against right-handed hitters than left-handed hitters. Atlanta's lineup is very right-handed heavy. There's nothing here that you point to and say it's very likely for Atlanta to have success against Webb, but at only 3% ownership, this is a team that has a massive ceiling given all of the power in their lineup, and it's a spot that I want to attack at that ownership. And number one, the Toronto Blue Jays taking on Lance Lynn. Toronto has a 12% chance of being the top scoring stack, a 12% aggregate ownership projection, and a 9% chance of being the top value stack. Lynn is making his second appearance of the year. He has a long track record of being a good major league pitcher. He's historically been better against righties than lefties, which isn't ideal for Toronto given that their lineup is predominantly right-handed, but still a lot of really good hitters in this lineup. Toronto has a 112 WRC plus for the season, a 165 ISO. Now looking at the top three tournament pitchers, number three, Logan Webb in that matchup against the Atlanta Braves. I mentioned Atlanta only getting 3% ownership, Webb only getting 4% ownership at $9,400. 8% chance of being the top scoring pitcher, 5% chance of being the top value pitcher for Webb. He has struck out nearly 23% of right-handed hitters this season. Atlanta's lineup is predominantly right-handed, and their active roster leads the league with a 26.1% strikeout percentage so far this year. While there is a lot of power, there are a lot of strikeouts to be had as well. Very high ceiling for Webb, very high ceiling for the Atlanta offense. Neither side getting much ownership, making them both appealing tournament options on tonight's slate. Number two, Max Fried, 12% projected ownership, 9% chance of being the top scoring pitcher, 5% chance of being the top value pitcher, taking on the San Francisco Giants. San Francisco is not an ideal matchup. They have a 114 WRC plus this year, only a 21.2% strikeout percentage, but Fried's a very good pitcher in his own right. He has the fourth highest strikeout percentage on the slate at 23.1%. The top three guys are McClanahan, Burns, and Cole, all north of 30%. So you get a huge drop-off down to Fried, but he also has a 2.93 xFIP. He's only walked 4% of hitters. He's only allowed 2/3 of a home run per 9 innings. Very good pitcher. And like I said, the fourth highest strikeout percentage on the slate after the main three at the top. And number one, Shane McClanahan leads the slate with a 35.2% strikeout percentage, leads the slate with a 2.12 xFIP. He's only walked 5% of hitters this year. He's projected for 13% ownership with an 11% chance of being the top scoring pitcher at $11,200. The negative for McClanahan is he is facing the New York Yankees. They lead the league in WRC+. They're second to Atlanta in ISO. They have only struck out 21.5% of the time. This is an absolutely brutal matchup for McClanahan. But when you look at the other pitchers at the top, Corbin Burns also has a difficult matchup against St. Louis. Garrett Cole has a middle-of-the-road matchup against Tampa Bay, but is also projected, I should say, for more ownership than McClanahan. Looking at those three guys that are at the top in strikeout percentage, Cole's at 28%, Burns is at 18%, McClanahan's at 13%. It's safe to say that the difficult matchup against the Yankees is being accounted for here. and it makes me want to still get to McClanahan in tournaments at the lowest ownership of that group. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks: number 3, the Milwaukee Brewers; number 2, the Atlanta Braves; number 1, the Toronto Blue Jays. And the top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Logan Webb; number 2, Max Fried; and number 1, Shane McClanahan.